Hey, Crawlspacers, welcome to our ASM show for the month of October, maybe November when you watch this. Let's introduce our panel. The goblin himself, JR. What's going on, JR?
Well, I'm going to rest my voice a little bit so
Okay.
I can handle the narrative heavy and exposition heavy content of these upcoming issues.
Yes, pace
Okay.
yourself. You're going to be doing a
Yeah.
lot of talking,
And a lot of
unlike Spider-Man.
dialogue to go through and some very deep philosophical matters.
In fact, I think you and I have talked more than 2 issues worth of dialogue in these two books. And we have Christina. What's going on, Christina?
Oh, not much. Pace yourself.
I will try. I will
Yeah.
try. Yep. And we have Josh. What's going on, Josh?
Hey, how's it going?
Going good. Going good. Do you have some upcoming Halloween appearances, Josh? As the Red Dead?
A couple? Yeah, I got a couple. I did a Spider-Man party earlier today. I've been booking up a lot of Christmas stuff. We're doing something fun with the Children's Hospital in December, where Spider-Man in a Christmas sweater, along with Buddy the Elf, the Grinch, and Cindy Lou Who will be there. So yeah, it's
JR, I saw a Christmas sweater for you. It was Captain Kirk's 1960s shirt, but a sweater, and it had like the symbols all over it. It screamed JR.
Oh, I haven't seen that. That's a new one on me.
It's pretty cute. There's a lot of ugly Christmas sweaters out there. All right, so we have 2 issues, and it took me about 10 minutes to read both of them. We've got ASM 952 and ASM 953, the last 3 issues of Zeb Wells' run. And we haven't heard what's going to happen to John Romita Jr. We have heard he's going to be working with someone JR and I talked about for about 3 hours last night. Mark Miller. He's coming back to Marvel, and him and JR are going to do a story together. They did, what did they do together? They did a Wolverine, Enemy of the State, I think, which was really good. What else did Mark Miller and John Romita Jr. do? Was that Kick-Ass? Yeah, it was Kick-Ass. They did Kick-Ass together, but it wasn't Marvel. But anyway, so that's what's going to happen to John Romita Jr. So if memory serves, Josh, you got this one, right?
Yeah, and like we've been alluding to, I think my review is probably more words than the amount of words in these ones, but
yeah.
Okay, so issue number 952.
Yep.
We open up with Tombstone somehow missing not 1, not 2, but 19 shots as he tries to murder his daughter Janice.
You counted them up, huh?
Wow.
Yep. 19 blams, didn't hit a single time.
Here we go. Yeah. This is worse than a stormtrooper, isn't it? Blam, 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 blam.
Like every single one. And he really, like, how big are though? Like, he really should have reloaded at some point, right?
Well, he did in the beginning. Like, he may have had more blams than he, yeah.
But there like 19 bullets fit in there?
Oh, now in the Marvel universe, they can hold more bullets.
Yeah. Okay, so we cut to female Doc Ock and Electro, not the classic one, as they ask White Rabbit what to do, and she says we got to get the heck out of here. And She-Hulk is wondering what happened to Spider-Man. He already left. So as that happens, Janice starts to fight back against her dad. Now, unfortunately, Tombstone has gadgets of his own to counter hers, and he starts to chokehold her and wham her into the ground again and again, ready to choke the life out of her.
Yeah, it's a brutal fight. Oof.
Yeah, man, I thought my family had drama.
Man.
Well, suddenly, with a smash, Spider-Man crashes through a window made of quantum physics. This is where Spider-Man starts to go beast mode and slams Tombstone's face into the ground. Janice tries to sneak out the window while Spider-Man is trying to prevent Tombstone from getting her on the way out. Janice falls and crashes into the garbage cans below. And now we have Spider-Man chasing Tombstone, chasing Janice down the street, through the doors, upstairs, and into yet another apartment building. That was about a third of the book. Janice, down the street, runs into the next apartment building, but Tombstone grabs her by the dreads and is about to end her life when Spider-Man gets there just in the nick of time to stop him, only for Janice to try and scratch Tombstone's eyes out. With him not being able to see, He pounds on Janice blow after blow after blow, but it's not Janice, it's Spider-Man who jumped in on top of her to protect her. Janice quickly goes underneath Tombstone's legs and makes a run for it, while Tombstone lunges after Spider-Man blindly and smashes through yet another space-time quantum physics window. To be continued.
To be continued. Wow, that took not very long to review. Anything interesting happening in the letters pages? But we have Bruce again.
Yeah,
We have Bruce.
Bruce made it in there.
He said he loved the Green Goblin storyline, been reading it for 56 years, and the living brain involvement, and etc. Anybody else from the crawl space in the letters pages besides Bruce? I don't see anybody else at the moment. Okay. So, what is your grade, Josh?
I'll give it a C plus.
A C plus. All right, Christina, what's your grade?
I give it a C.
A C. JR?
I gave it a D.
A D for drama, huh? I give it a B minus.
Oh,
Okay.
A B minus. Yeah, we'll go into it. So let's list some pros, Josh.
I like that they show Spider-Man not just like when he takes the hit, it's purposefully, like he's deliberately trying to save Janice there, and then he actually does kind of kick butt in this issue as well there. So I did appreciate that. Yeah, I don't like. There's not much to say. It's a quick read. Like it's very fast.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Yeah. Anything, Christina? What's some pros out of you?
Well, you already covered Bruce's letter. I did like the artwork for the cover by Ramita Jr., and then I did like the art in general. So,
Yeah, I like the art also. Anything else, Christina? This is going to be a really quick show.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was really quick.
Yeah.
No questions. Nope.
Okay, JR, what did you like?
not a goddamn thing.
Oh my god. Okay.
Wow.
What?
Oh man.
Not the art, JR?
Well,
That
I was
you're
looking.
warming up.
I was
warming up.
I was looking for the story. I didn't even notice the art, because I was, desperately trying to find the story there. So
Well, in the defense of Zeb
no. I mean,
let me so okay, let's go to the cons. All right, I will save that point what I'm about to make. Here, let's look at what chat's saying. Mr. Comic says this is one of his favorite Spider-Man fights of all time.
yeah.
I want to know what's in Janice's gloves to scratch Tombstone like that. Oh, Mr. Comics, you got your 8th letter in there. Oh, okay, hold on. Let me look. Where are you? Are you on page 2? I didn't look at page 2 as quick as I should have. Let's see. Where are you? Well, which one? Oh, there you are. No. Yeah. All right. So awesome. Very good. You give it an A plus. Okay. This is going to be a short review show. Yes, Gary and the Frozen. It seems to be. So, all right, Josh. We're 9 minutes in. It's not about quantity. It's about quality. So if the books don't give us much to talk about, what can we talk about? So, Josh, what's your cons on the book? This ought to take a little time.
Open up the. Can you open up the link I just sent in our chat here?
Oh yeah. Oh my, you have a PowerPoint or something. Let's see. Oh, you're going to
zoom in on that
Wikipedia
picture
page. Okay, hold on. Share screen. Space time. Okay, there you go. What do you want to talk about? Space time.
Okay.
That's what the window looks like, and it really bugs me.
Oh,
where
wow.
like quantum physics, where the mass is in space and it's like pushing it down, like that little thing there. If you flip over to the window, the last panel in the comic there, that's what it looks like. Glass doesn't shatter like that.
It's gonna take me a minute to do that again. Okay, so you want to see the last panel of the book, and
Yeah,
Like
like it's
like this one?
the next one.
No, that's the cover for the next one.
Well, okay. The cover for the next one's it's like a continuation of his last line there.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
bending. Like glass doesn't bend like that unless under it's like a ton of heat, but like it's shattering, but I don't like the glass. Like this really took me out of the book was just this specific
Well,
glass bending
it's
part.
interesting that you say that this image took you out of the book. When we get to the next issue, there's something that really took me out of the book.
Uh-oh.
And it's
Okay.
interesting that it's the ending of this that took you out. So anyway, so you don't like the glass shatter art. What else?
Yeah.
What else is a con for you?
19 misses. Like Tombstone should have at least hit his daughter once. If he shoots 19 times, like even just like hit her in the arm and she's like, struggling along with throughout the fight, that might have raised the stakes a bit with it there, but he missed like 19 times.
I know. Well, any more before I go to Christina and JR?
Nah, Christine,
All
take it
right,
away.
Christina, what's some cons out of you?
I think we talked about this already, but the fact that it's not really a story, it's going to be the same issue with 59 in a sec. There's not much going on. It kind of feels like Zeb Wells is kind of dragging it out until he gets to 60.
Yeah, yes. I agree 100%. Anything else on your cons on that?
Not pretty much it.
All right, JR, let's go.
Well, I don't know that I can quite follow Neil deGrasse Tyson over there with, and explain my dislike from a scientific perspective. But first of all, you'll have to forgive my outburst because besides being a grumpy old man, for those of you who say you liked it, I mean, it's almost, bend over and take another one. You've been screwed.
Hey.
No, you are being screwed. You are, I mean, there's no other way to put it. This is abominable. And I know it's probably an editorial decision, but
why is it abominable?
Because there's no damn story. It's just a fight, and then we haven't even got to the next issue yet, and also first of all, Tombstone shouldn't even last 5 pages with Spider-Man. Yeah, absolutely not. This guy knocks out, Fire Lords and Green Goblins and Doc Ock and, Venoms and shit like that. Tombstone ought to be a walk in the park. And Janice is an ungrateful bitch,
Jeez.
Wow.
Why is she ungrateful?
Because Spider-Man's basically taken several blows for her and absorbing them with his own body, and she's just yelling at him, get off me, get off me. It's like, like a dissatisfied lover or something, get off me.
Do you have a lot of experience in this realm, JR?
Wow.
Well, first of all, that implies that once you get married, there is any experience.
Oh,
so
it's just one big fight like this issue, isn't it?
I was about to say you're presuming a lot there. Once you make your kids, you're done. So.
Wow.
Okay. Wow, this show may go an hour. All right. Any other vitriol you want to spew out, JR?
Well, let's see here. I mean,
Go ahead,
this story should have been over already. And the fact that it keeps going, I mean, this is even worse than the last 30 minutes of The Batman a couple of years ago. The story was over, but the movie kept going, and that's exactly what this feels like. So
I would agree. It's like, hey, we don't have the next Amazing Spider-Man writer lined up, and we got a mini series we can plug in here with Dr. Doom and Spider-Man to fill some time. Hey, Zeb, can you stretch it out a little bit more? Is what it feels like. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
I feel the $5 fluff. I mean, they didn't lower the price at all, but they sure did lower the quality a bit. They stretched it out a little bit too much, in my opinion. To your point, JR, about there's not much story. There's a little bit in the fact that the concept of a villain being so evil that he would want to kill his daughter is a legit story. I mean that really shows he's evil. Wouldn't you agree? Since we have daughters.
Well, first of all, I don't care enough about this story to even, worry about, whether or not Tombstone's going to kill, because I know he's not going to kill his daughter, and then, Spider-Man's, as we get into the next issue, Spider-Man's reasons for, engaging in this fight and protecting Janice, is very weak in my part, and shows what a weenie Peter Parker has become over time.
Well, that,
it's just is like, yeah, he's evil, but I don't care about him. I don't care. It's fun. It's fun to like evil characters. It's fun to revel in their evil, because it's something that you can't do in your normal walk of life.
do you think Norman would kill Harry? I mean,
Not intentionally, no.
okay, not as outright as Tombstone is trying to do, right?
No. And I mean, that's just, I mean, you talk about a trademark psychopath, but it's, but what I'm saying is like, you're asking me almost to emotionally invest in a story that almost defies being emotionally invested. I mean, because I can't care whether or not he kills Janice or not. It's like, oh my God, this guy's going to kill his daughter, and Spider-Man's going to have to jump in and save her. I don't care.
Now, last night we were talking about, you said Ultimate Spider-Man doesn't have enough fights. Is this just over the top that needs a little bit more story with this?
No, but here's the thing. It's one thing if something has been again, I don't want to say, that, because sometimes a big, dumb, stupid fight is a lot of fun, particularly if a story leads up to it, but there was nothing leading up to this, in my opinion. I mean, like I said, it felt like the story was over in Gang War. Gang War was over. Tombstone went to meet. Story was over. Okay. Yeah. And that wasn't even a very good story to begin with either. Yeah. But it just keeps going. And, and I guess we can't put all the blame on Wells. He probably had editorial direction, do it. And, hey, you're writing my check. I do what you say. But no, I mean, yeah. See, but exactly. But see, what you're asking me to be emotionally invested enough to care, that Tombstone is crossing a threshold that only the most deranged evil people do, I mean, and I should care about that. And I should want Spider-Man to come in and clean his clock, but I don't like Janice either. I don't care if he kills her. There's nothing about Janice that, is sympathetic. I mean, she's a criminal herself. And she's obviously ungrateful for Spider-Man almost literally sacrificing his life to save her. Yeah. I don't care that Tombstone kills her, she's an ungrateful little child, so
your point about Spider-Man's reasoning for saving her. Let's have that debate after we actually see it.
Yeah, right. That's why,
because I have some thoughts on that too.
Yeah.
Josh, more cons out of you about what we've been saying. What do you think?
No, that pretty much wraps up. Like I was shocked how quick. I was gonna reread it today to kind of get my thoughts ready, and it was done in like a few minutes. I'm like, oh right, there wasn't much to this. Like it just it went by so fast.
Yeah, I mean, there is an expectation for entertainment that your dollar should give you X amount of entertainment, and for $5 for 5 minutes, I mean that, and it seems like other comic books are at least a 15-minute read. I don't know about you guys. How much is a wordy comic, or not even a wordy comic? How long should a comic book last to enjoy? 15 minutes, I think.
I don't think there has to be a certain length of time. It's more of like, if you're really captured by the story. Like, it wasn't even man, I can't believe I'm already done the comic. I was engaged with the story the whole time. It was more of a, wow, can't believe I'm done this already.
I know. It feels very padded. Like you're writing an essay in college and you have to do 3 pages and you do a size 72 font.
In the previous paragraph. All that nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. But you increase the font size to size 50 or 70. So the words are like giant, like the teacher knows you're padding this out. And this felt very padded, in my opinion. And I think you all would agree on that, would you? Christina, thoughts on what we've been saying? What's your 2 cents?
Well, I think maybe a big comic that has like a lot of words on it, maybe for me, maybe be like 10, 11 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, I'm reading like the older Fantastic Four comics right now, and those have a lot of meaty dialogue in it and stuff. And
Right.
those probably take me about 10, 11 minutes to read. But like Josh was saying, it depends on the story too. It doesn't necessarily have to depend on how fast you can read as long as you're engaged in the story and stuff. So
Yeah. I was a little bit more engaged than JR, I'm finding. Here, let's go to the chat. Let's see what they're saying. Trayvon gives it a C. Gary says it's going to be a short review show. JR, I wish Spider-Man stories today could be more like the way Marvel Knights was 20 years ago. Yeah, that had good fights mixed with multiple subplots. This one was just one big story in the fact that there was no subplots. There's no other side characters. It's not like, hey, what's Mary Jane doing? What's the universe doing?
What's
It's
Paul
fight,
doing?
fight.
I almost would rather see what Paul's doing.
Oh, Lord.
Ooh, it's that
Well,
bad.
that would be the minority opinion.
But I was about to say, remember though, 20 years ago though, Bendis was doing Ultimate Spider-Man and doing exactly the same thing in his stories. You know, padding them to an excruciating length. So the die was already being cast even 20 years ago.
I really think the $5 is what gets me. Like if this was a 60-cent book, like whatever, but $5 is not justifying what we read. And I'm a big Romita Jr. fan, and he does do good storytelling with his art. I mean, he's doing the heavy lifting on this one, isn't he? Zeb doesn't have much to do, in my opinion. If it's 80-20, in my opinion, on this book, I think Romita Jr. did 80% of it, and Zeb kind of sprinkled in a little dialogue here and there.
Yeah, Mark Bagley sent John Romita Jr. a note saying, "Now you know how I felt."
Mr. Comics says, I spent 2 weeks at a gun range at Basic, Josh, and you'd be surprised about how bad some people shoot. So 18 shots is usual. Zeb Wells has some good artists with bad writing. Nick Spencer had good writing with bad artists besides Ryan Otley and Bagley casually, it says Gary in the Frozen. When did Gleason join Amazing Spider-Man Volume 5? I don't even know what volume we are on this one at the moment. That was Gleason was in Spencer's run. Has Zeb Wells had any Patrick Gleason in it? I'm not sure. And if he has, I don't remember much of it. It's mainly Romita Jr. and what's the other guy that likes rec rap?
Neil?
Neil? No, not Neil.
Neil.
McGinnis, Ed McGinnis. There it is. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Mr. Comics, correct me if I'm wrong, but this story arc wasn't supposed to exist. This is filler arc until the new writer takes control. A huge fight with not a lot of talk fits the bill. Yeah, Mr. Comics, we've said that. I agree. We need to stretch it till we can get somebody in place and to get the new ASM writer and the new direction of where we're going with this. Let's spin our wheels a little bit. Spider Ghost says JR is right. It's on a t-shirt. Zeb should have never been allowed to continue. Let's see. We got feels like no one wants to pick up the book after Zeb. That much they messed up. There was also something happening Comic-Con that was talking of the town. They kept Zeb so that Joe Kelly could continue. Yeah, there was a little bit of a fan at the New York Comic-Con, from what I've read, was talking to editor Nick Lowe and kind of took him to task a little bit about Kamala Khan dying not in her own book.
Yeah, I saw that.
And what else was the argument about? Not argument, but he kind of didn't agree with the basis of the question. And some reports are that he came across kind of rude to the fans. I read that several places. So, anyway.
But he didn't bother to give a justification of why Kamala Khan died outside her own book?
He didn't. He said that, I don't want to misquote, but he talked about, he felt that the buildup was justified. And then the fan rebutted with she's only in like 25 panels of Amazing Spider-Man over several issues, but he didn't.
Well, I suppose
They talked about fridging. They talked about
Yeah.
fridging a character, and he didn't agree with the basis of the question.
actually I would agree with him on that. I mean, that I think I understand what they're saying. It goes back to that old Kyle Rayner green, but
Yeah.
this is not. I don't think this is comparable to that. I think this is that was, he just Lowe should have said, well, we put it in Spider-Man because nobody would have read it in her own book.
Absolutely.
So,
They put it in Spider-Man so the more eyes would see it. That's exactly why they did it.
yeah, I mean, and they weren't deliberately getting rid of Kamala Khan. Like, if you're fridging a character, I interpret it as, you're killing a character just for, shock value or to get rid of a character or something. This was a stunt. Everybody knew she was coming back. So anyway, that's I must confess I would agree with Lowe that I wouldn't consider that fridging. But he also evaded the question anyway, so
yeah. Here, I can pull it up. Let's see. Since we have extra time.
Yeah, since we're padding the show, right?
Yeah.
Oh, shut up. Here's the article. I thought this was the most balanced of all of them that didn't lean to one side or the other, which is what I try to do. So let's see. The panel was led by, this is from comicsbeat.com. Jordan D. White, Joe Kelly, and Al Ewing were on stage. Dan Slott was supposed to attend, but he abstained from coming because he was recovering from COVID. Let's see. The panel kicked off a little earlier than usual. And let's see. So this was a Reddit thing. This is one fan's interpretation of what actually happened. It says that anyone catch the awkward moment when the fan asked the question. I don't remember all the specifics because it happened so fast. Nick opened the floor for questions, and the first person up started asking about the misogynistic treatment of female characters in the main Spider-Man line, Peter and his relationship with Mary Jane and Paul, and the fridging of Kamala Khan. Nick said that he disagreed with the premise of the question, clarifying that Kamala was a big part of the book and the story. The fan clarified that she only appeared in 25 panels. Nick said thank you and asked for the next question. Fan asked if any male characters would be killed in the same fashion. Nick said they kill male characters all the time at Marvel. The fan replied, outside of their own book? Thank you. Next question. He spoke over the fan until they bowed down on the mic or the mic was turned off, whatever happened first. If anyone has a more clear transcript or recollection of the panel, please share. I just thought it was crazy to witness. The Spidey office was forced to be responsive to disgruntled fan complaints, which we normally read on X and Reddit, and instead of hearing them out and being transparent, they doubled down on the same tired excuses and moved on to the next question. So again, Comics Beat cleared that up a little bit from what I read. Again, I'm doing this live. Says better or worse, Lowe got incredibly defensive in public and let the fan keep grilling him, and he tried to countersuit. What you read above is a short version, what was a longer and snappier back and forth, and one that went on for longer than it should have. After that first question from the fan, Lowe would then try to counter back in an argument in lieu of professionally just answering a single fan question to them and moving on. He also began his response to the question with a counter argument of passive aggressive by, quote, disagreeing with the premise of the question, his actual words, invalidating the very premise of that fan's opinion. To the audience, it seems somewhat condescending response. There's also a widely used term for this in popular psychology now regarding the questioning of whether or not another person's belief is truly called gaslighting. Mind you, I say this having a background working in psychology for 7 years. In Nick's defense, he was a deer in headlights, caught absolutely off guard with this line of questioning. I say this admittedly because I was also off guard. As a reporter who thought this panel was just about already over and was generally shocked like everyone else. Let's see.
I don't want to defend Nick Lowe here, to be honest, but I think the question was out of line, to be honest. It was a deliberately provocative question without because it's not. I mean, look, I don't like this run, but I don't consider it misogynistic or fridging or one because that almost implies a deliberate action. I mean, this is just meandering, mediocre storytelling. I mean, yes, there's definite, you probably find misogyny in comics all the time, but this is not Spider. That's not Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man's problem.
What
That
do you think was going to happen? Having them ask like, "Hey, here's everything wrong with your current storyline going on with this writer thoughts." Like, what do you think they were going to say?
Yeah, I mean, although I'm sure Lowe could have handled it better. I mean, it's whenever you know we have, and this is like in all we have people who deal with the public who cannot deal with the public, who don't have the grace or the patience or
customer service.
It's like you can shut a fan down. I mean, he very easily could have asked for examples and then refuted them. I mean, I think anybody who he could easily have said, no, I don't, I think you're wrong. I think this is what I consider this is, but see, I'm sure he didn't want to get into why they did it, that it was a publicity stunt. And, I mean, I'm sure he didn't want to do that, but when you're dealing with the public, you need to have a better attitude.
I'm sorry you feel that way. And I'm sorry it wasn't for you. Next question. I mean, that could have shut it down easily. I mean, I really don't think he wants to come out and tell the truth, and the fact that it would make the company look bad and people would make him look even worse. And the fact that I suspect, and JR, we just said this, it was a publicity stunt. We wanted the most eyes on it in Amazing Spider-Man. We knew she was going to come back. I don't think I prefer language like that. I understand that. I'm like, you know what? This is a business. We want to sell a new Kamala Khan book. And hey, Zeb, can you write Kamala in for 25 panels? Yeah. All right. That's what happened. That's how we made the sausage. That's how we made it. But
then I would have followed up. Why are you trying to give such exposure to a character who hasn't taken off no matter how many times you tried over the last several years? But then let's get into a different argument.
That's true. I mean, Josh and Christina, do you think Lowe should have said that? Or do you think, I don't know. It's just unfortunate the way it came out.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Josh, what do you think? Do you think that as a business person that they should say this is what happened? And these are assumptions on my part and JR's and everybody's of what really happened.
Yeah, it's funny because we all know why Kamala was killed in Amazing Spider-Man. It's almost like it would we wouldn't agree with it, but at least there's a bit more respect given then to these guys if they actually came out and were like, honestly, it was just so that more people would read it. Like, cool, great. We kind of figured, but at least you're being honest about it rather than like, oh, it worked well with the story. No, it didn't. Like, she could have been out of the story entirely. The only thing different was that he wouldn't be clutching her mask in his bed for no reason. Like, there's no.
It doesn't ring true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see. Citrus, JR's here. It's going to be a good show. Well, that is also your opinion. Let's see. Up the horizon, meant upon the horizon, gives it a B. I'm sad about what's happening with Lonnie and Janice's father and the daughter dynamic, but I am engaged and buy this conflict, unlike Chasm. Oh, yeah. Well, this was better than the Curse of Chasm. I'll give you that. JR did say that he got freedom to do whatever action he wanted to draw on his socials. John Reed Jr., not RJR. Okay.
Yeah, this JR can't draw a straight line with a straight edge. But actually, that actually told the story. But when you give an artist the freedom to do whatever he wants, is basically to say you're not giving him a story. You're just saying draw a fight scene that lasts for 10 pages.
Yeah. That's probably true. It's like, hey, why don't you have him go in the subway? Why don't you have him go dive out of the Neil deGrasse Tyson window? Have him, JR does draws good action scenes. I mean, I had no problems following what happens. It looks brutal. There would be a lot of blood if two super powered beings were fighting like this. I mean, John Reed Jr. is not the problem, I don't think, at all.
Mm-mm.
Let's see. George is here. Phantom called Nick Lowe a misogynist. Ha ha. George. Let's see. Not sure, but she's. What's Justin Ireland doing? I suspect she is helping Joe Kelly write this story on the quick. If I had to guess.
She is.
She's. It's going to be a kind of in the same vein that Dan Slott and what's his name? Christos Gage have been helping each other since they have to do 2 books a month, etc. MJ was called Scarlet Woman by Benjamin Rabin. She also had Stockholm Syndrome, like falling in love with Paul. So that's the argument about being a misogynist.
Huh.
What do you think?
Benjamin Rabin was the bad guy. He's going to say something awful.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
It's-
I don't get that either. You know, the
You-
bad guy always is. Of course, he's misogynistic and evil and disregards Mary Jane as a person. He's the bad guy.
Yeah. I don't know. As we as comics fans, are we looking for the villain in real life? Are we looking for intent out of these creators to be bad or misogynist or etc.? I don't know. I don't know. I
think
honestly,
we are.
in my heart of hearts, I really think Zeb Wells and Nick Lowe and John Romita Jr. are trying to put out their best comic in the situations that they're given. I mean, they're trying to get the orders from above, and they're trying to put out the best book they can. I really do. And every month it's not it. I mean, sometimes they hit the mark and sometimes they don't. But I don't think anyone, even Dan Slott, who I've been really tough on this show, I don't think he has bad intentions of putting out a poor quality book. And I've read Spider-Boy with Josh, and
I have too.
Oh boy.
but anyway, JR, what were you thinking?
No, I was just about to say I don't. I was about to say I was going to say I don't think anybody has the intention of putting out a bad product, but then I'm thinking of the last several Star Wars projects. But I do think in a way, you know, when we as collectively, not you, we do sometimes look for intent, because intent implies some kind of control or deliberate action. And there's a saying somewhat, that never presume conspiracy when incompetence and stupidity will suffice, and
That's
it's, I mean, and, sometimes if you're given an impossible task, you can't do a good job, maybe, and
That's
maybe,
true.
and, the thing is, though, I wouldn't absolve Nick Lowe of this. I think that Nick Lowe probably is a big part of this, but, I can see, Zeb Wells saying, "Oh my God, I thought I was done," and think of the Clone Saga too. I mean, that was really a case of being given orders on high, and you just do the best you can. So I don't know it's that they have malicious intent when they do the stories, but then they become, but we interpret it as that because then they get malicious when they get called on it, I mean, Lowe could have shut, like, if Lowe had said what you or Josh had said, that would have shut the fan down right away. Oh, okay.
Vinkman says, I quote, "I think they're trying to put out the best book they can." Cue the George Berriman laugh. The thing is, I agree with you, JR, that sometimes it's an impossible task when you have 100 cooks in the kitchen. If you would leave the book to Zeb Wells, and you would leave the book to John Romita Jr. and minimal editorial a little bit, like, hey, catch typos, but they have a franchise called Spider-Man that's been around for 60 years that they don't want to kill. He makes too much money for it to be killed. So you have a lot of people trying to protect Spider-Man from being altered, like he's unable to be altered back again. So I think a lot of people have hands in the pot on Spider-Man, more so than, say, Daredevil. Over the years, I think Daredevil has been good consistently for nearly 20 years, 20 to 30 years for Daredevil.
Frank Miller was able to do what he did with Daredevil because the book was about to be canceled, right?
There's fear of screwing it up, and the fear of screwing it up is screwing it up. I mean, is that not true? I mean,
that's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Part of it is people don't know how to politely disagree. Like
Yes.
we don't, like, I don't think any other writers, and even, although we don't like the editorial and their decisions of it, none of them are like even purposely being like, this is gonna suck, let's release it. Like, they're all think, okay, this is, I think, what's going to do best right now, and put that forward. We don't like it, but they're not deliberately being like, this is going to be garbage, let's let it go. So, and but then as soon as someone brings it up, it's just raining hellfire.
Mhm.
And the fear of spinning your wheels, which is these last two issues, possibly the finale, is if you spin your wheels and you raise the price, the fans eventually go away. $5, $15 to read 15 minutes of books, of 3 books, $5 a pop. The entertainment value isn't there. And you are ruining Spider-Man a little bit by making him just, and I've read, and take this with a grain of salt, the Rich Johnson stuff about he polls the various comic shops, and Amazing Spider-Man hasn't been in the top 10 of the comic shops selling. Ultimate's outdoing it. There's a fear, I would think, from the Spider office that, hey, why is a satellite book topping the flagship? What is happening? So I think by spinning your wheels for however long this Joe Kelly story is going to go, they're really going to say what's going to really land and get some fireworks and some eyes and some money on the next Amazing Spider-Man volume. So I don't know what the answer is.
Well,
JR?
if they don't know what's happening, then they do know what's happening. They do know why Ultimate is selling better. I mean, I don't believe that they're that dumb or blind. They know exactly why Ultimate is selling.
Why? In my opinion, I'll guess and guess what you're thinking. That they want a Spider-Man that is a little older, has had some progression of storyline, is not a loser. He's a bit responsible with the family, and the artwork's amazing. And when I read Ultimate Spider-Man, I feel like I got more of an entertainment value than what I just read. Is that what you were thinking, or what?
Wow, I was about to say you're giving me credit for thinking a little too much there.
Okay, I'll just think you're a dumb guy next time.
There we go. Well, my wife certainly does. It's like, sometimes it's hard to explain. I'm just an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing. You're like I said, sometimes malice requires intent.
Yeah.
But I would say Jonathan Hickman comes with a bit more cred these days than a lot of other writers too. So you've got that as well. They know it just the fans though are so hypersensitive now. But I agree with Josh. Our culture, collectively, our culture has degenerated to the point that we can't disagree with each other anymore without literally being at each other's throats. So we do have a huge cultural problem in this country.
Look at the upcoming election cycle. I mean, this is that's an example of us not being able to talk civilly.
But right. the fans have been really feeling deliberately burned since at least one more day. I mean. You really, you are consistently being told this is, and it's happening. It's not just happening in Spider-Man. It's happening in the entertainment or whatever, where the makers of entertainment are absolutely determined not to give the fan base what it wants because it doesn't want that fan base. It wants something else. What that is, I'm not entirely sure because, but I don't know if they know what it is they're looking for. But we are not getting the stories we want, and they are not getting the fan base they want. So that's why they're not given the like I said, I think it comes down to too many cooks in the kitchen and a fear of losing the IP. And also, I mean, look at the Joker movie. Joker 2 bombed. That's a great example. Why did it bomb? I don't think the fans wanted a musical. But again,
but at the end, money talks, right? It's whoever
yes.
has the money kind of calls the shots there. So if Zeb might not want to do something, but Marvel Editorial, who's paying him to do it, wants it, okay, then that's what happens, right? If you don't want something in a certain Star Wars or Marvel film, but the people that are invested in Disney and that want it, that's kind of what's going to happen in the movie.
And the people with the money are very tight in the fact that they are fearful that they'll have a big bomb coming up, like the Joker 2 movie, like Madam Web, like Morbius. So anyway, let's see.
I was about
George
to say,
says,
when you pack a bomb with gunpowder, it is going to go off. I mean, they have to know why these movies are bombing. I mean,
I'm curious for the Venom 3 box office numbers that are coming out Sunday.
I can tell you that its American estimates are way lower than what they thought it was going to make, and it's a lot lower than the previous two.
Yeah, I hear you. I like what George said in chat. He says they know why it's selling Ultimate Spider-Man. They just don't like the reason,
Mhm.
which is an older Spider-Man, and with married, it makes him feel older. I agree.
But I would step back and say it's not necessarily we want an older Spider-Man or even we want a married Spider-Man, but we want a Spider-Man that the character behaves. I don't want to say I'm trying to grab. I want to say indigenously, but that's not really the word I'm looking for. But Spider-Man is not acting like Spider-Man, you know, and the character is not acting like, you know, a character like he normally would. I mean, they, like, you're right. They've tried to put him in this box. You can only go
Charlie
this far.
Brown box.
Yeah.
he
And
doesn't age.
you know, and that, you know, that's what they're determined to do. And even if nobody wants, or I should say nobody, but even if people don't want that, it's, you know, they don't care. And so that we're almost at this impasse, you know. It's and really all we can do, if we don't like it, we should stop buying. But you know, we're suckers. Look, I mean,
Absolutely.
you know, we don't want to miss any. We don't want to, you know, we don't want any gaps in our run.
Exactly. And with JR and I just reviewed Marvel Knight's Spider-Man last night, and that is, you can tell that Spider-Man has been on a journey. You can see that there are issues before this one. He had a wedding ring on. He has history with these villains in the Marvel Knight storyline.
Yeah, it's a life journey storyline. It's why, you know, there's certain versions. I don't think it's the fact that, you know, yes, he happens to have a wife and kids and MJ and his kids there, and, you know, he's a bit older. It's that he progresses. Like time is actually moving on, right? You know, all the Peter Parkers versions that we like, whether it's like Insomniacs or the one in Spider-Verse, there it's like, well, Peter Parker, yeah, he dealt with marital problems, but then he like eventually had a kid. You know, the Insomniac one, he like got out of university, like he actually got his degree, and then he's like, you know, moved in with that. Like things are actually happening rather than just being stagnant forever.
Right. And you know, the comic buying audience, especially at $5, is shrinking. And JR said that the fans, they don't give the fans what they want. But what we want is what Josh just said. We want progression. We want this. So please give it to us. And you know what? You'll probably pick up some new readers along the way. You'll get good word of mouth. You'll get people pick up the books. I don't know, but you aren't getting good word of mouth with this, in my opinion.
Well, what's also happening in Ultimate, though, is that Hickman is building a world where these heroes, they were deliberately kept from being heroes because of forces probably greater than they could contemplate. And that's what Harry and Peter are slowly finding out, is that they're just not up against a costume bad guy here and there, or even a mob kingpin. You know, they're up against something far larger, far more sinister. And that's an interesting story. But what's happening is it's coming boring as hell. That's what's happening. But an interesting world is being created there. Although, and on Joker 2, though, I would almost describe some malice to the director, Tim Miller. I would believe that he deliberately screwed it up. But anyway.
Well, I think the movie made $1 billion, and they were like, hey, why don't you and Joaquin come back, and let's see if we can make another $1 billion. And I don't think they had enough story, or I don't know. And I haven't seen Joker 2. I may love it because I like Gaga. But anyway, George says Josh is right. There, he put that on a shirt. We need more Journey storylines. Any way you want it, that's the way you need it.
Yeah.
Chi-Town says these runs are as painful as my pinched nerve in my lower back.
Wow.
Chi-Town, that's rough. Put some ice or heat on it, man. We got people are already hyped for USM when Hickman said last year that, quote, it's a comic about middle-aged Peter Parker. That's all. Let's see. And Mary says Nick Lowe in the letters pages keeps gaslighting and deflecting letters addressing why Ultimate is so much better. It's infuriating. Well, he can't go in and say, you know what? our book is inferior. He can't. I mean, I anyway. We should get to the next issue. We're almost out of time. Look at this. Look, who would have thought after the slow start? That was a good debate on that one. JR, are you ready?
Yeah, I am.
Here we go, man.
I'm going
Neil
to kind of
deGrasse Tyson did this cover.
Yeah, I'm going to try. Actually, I'm going to kind of, considering that we've used a lot of time and we've kind of had a lot of the debate. I'm going to take a different approach here. I'm not going to just, I'm just going to pretty well tell the story and not eviscerate it along the way like I was originally going to, because I think that point has been made. Yeah. But the story starts out really where the last one left off. Tombstone and Spidey go flying through a window, then Tombstone is saying, is this what you want? Is this what you're wanting to die for? Then, he sees Janice drop into the New York subway system, and, Spider-Man kicks him off, and Tombstone, decides to go ahead and follow his daughter. And then Spider-Man follows him. And Tombstone's about to, Janice gets on the train. Tombstone's about to, grab Janice from the train or throw Janice from the train like Mama. But Spider-Man then, nails the guy, whomps the guy with a street light or something.
Yeah, that was brutal. That's a brutal.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah. And, it's Spider-Man. I don't know why Spider-Man thinks that Tombstone is going to listen to reason at this time, because he, instead of saying stay down, and he calls him Lonnie because I guess he's trying to reach his humanity or something. Yep. But it's like, you've got this. First of all, this guy is already, forget that he's a monster and a psychopath. His adrenaline is surging. He's not going to listen when you say stand down. It's like, that's stupid.
He's hulking out.
You keep pounding him. I mean, it's like, Spider-Man's just not being very smart handling this. There is no way this guy is in a position to listen to anything now. He only responds to violence. So Spider-Man saves Janice. And then Tombstone and he go mano a mano for I don't know how many panels or pages.
They go throughout the subway, yeah.
Then Tombstone gets clipped by the train, and not
Spider-Man.
And then the fight again, and then another train comes, and Tombstone happens to be, right in the middle of it. Spider-Man tries to save him for some reason. I have a feeling Tombstone would survive it, but then again, probably maybe people on the train wouldn't. And then Spider-Man gets clipped by the train. So they're both bleeding, exhausted, and Spider-Man, Tombstone picks up something to bash Spider-Man's skull in, and Spider-Man says, but I'm not just trying to save Janice. And basically he stops short of saying, I'm also trying to save you.
I wasn't just saving her, Lonnie.
Yeah,
we're going to kill your daughter. I was saving, and he's saying,
and he's, basically he's trying to save Tombstone, and so Tombstone, that causes Tombstone to stop. That and exhaustion, and probably the loss of blood, and and then it's the story's to be continued. I was less ripped off for $10 when the car wash machine ate my money, as opposed to these two stories. But I mean, like I said, I think we've really made that point. But one, I give this a D-. I just, I just don't think it's good writing, even if it's fight. Spider-Man's not acting rationally. He's not acting smart. I don't know. Zeb Wells seems like he's got a thing for Tombstone. He really likes that character more than the rest of us do, or at least more than I do. And so therefore he's going to give him the upper hand on Spider-Man when he shouldn't have it. But these are all points I've made.
What do you think Tombstone's power level is? Comparable to another villain?
Oh Lord, I'm trying to. I don't think I don't think.
Is he Kingpin level?
See, Kingpin shouldn't be able to. He could be, but then I have always said, much to George's chagrin, that Kingpin shouldn't be able to stand up against Spider-Man either. And I think J. Michael Straczynski's story illustrated exactly what would happen
in the prison.
Really happened. But it just seems like the writers have so much invested in getting Spider-Man tortured, and beaten within an inch of his life, and not winning a fight. Spider-Man is an experienced warrior. I mean, he's been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think Tombstone's on Norman's level, for example. And you saw how long it took Spider-Man after Gwen Stacy died to clobber Norman. Not very long.
Yeah. Probably he's just a little bit weaker than Kingpin, in my opinion. He's probably a Hammerhead level, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Hammerhead is a mobster, but just has a hard head. But Tombstone's just a dude that can take a punch. Yeah, I agree. I love the scene in Back in Black where Spider-Man grabs Tombstone by the skin and gets him right up here. That was brutal. And that's and again, that is the longtime fan. This is not ringing true that he is fighting someone so less powerful. Like the fan who's been reading for 20, 30, 40 years says, you know what? I've seen Spider-Man go up against somebody a lot tougher than this. So I'm with you a little bit on that, JR. Spider-Man should clock him a little bit more. But I did like the fight, even if it was really, really bloody.
And I think the stakes should have been a little higher too, that Spider-Man would be willing to endure. I don't know. I mean, Spider-Man is not willingly going to let anybody be murdered on his watch. He's not going to, so there is that. But I almost wish there was more at stake for Spidey in this story.
It is,
rather than some ungrateful, and some ungrateful little bitch who did, it's like, I would get up then and let Dad kill you. I would have gotten right up and said, fine, let Dad beat you to death. Go F yourself.
All right.
But,
let's go for grades. JR, what's your grade on this one?
D-.
Josh.
D.
Christina.
I gave this a C+.
I'm with Christina on it. I give it a C+ also. I'm a sucker for John Romita Jr. art. That's my problem. And I liked the pro for me, and JR, you can say that. Here's the debate I want with you, JR, and the rest of you too. If you agree with JR's thoughts, Spider-Man's motivations made him a weenie, is what you said 20 minutes ago or whatever. I think Spider-Man legitimately is trying to save him from going too far, because once you kill your daughter, I mean, my goodness, you can't come back from that. And I think that is a heroic thing to do, try to save him from going to that step. But JR, you disagree, huh?
Some people do not deserve to be saved. I'm sorry.
You're not Peter Parker.
I know
you are Norman Osborn.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, I'm more. My feelings on Law and Order are more like Frank Castle's than Peter Parker's. I will admit that, and I don't want Peter Parker to be a savage killer. I don't. So, but Tombstone has. Tombstone has it
for Peter.
See, Tombstone though, after the brutal beating he dished out earlier, it's like. Peter is like, it's almost like, like when a person gets into an abusive relationship and won't leave, I mean, it's like, why are you trying to save some guy who's so brutal? It's like who brutally tortured you, I to be honest, I mean, we've seen Peter lose his crap over lesser things than that. Tombstone isn't worth saving, and nothing in the story suggests that Spider-Man is right, in trying to save his soul. The only thing is Spider-Man doesn't want anybody killed on his watch. Okay, so there is that. But if he's thinking that he's saving Tombstone's soul, or that he's been given the responsibility of saving Tombstone's soul, he's a fool. Yeah. So. No,
Josh, you're more like Peter Parker than JR. What do you think? What do you think on that point?
I do kind of like the motivation. I'll agree with JR on that. It kind of comes out of nowhere. Yeah. Like it didn't seem like, if there was something alluding to that back in the first issue of Zeb Wells' run, I would have given it a little more respect to it. But it does kind of come out of like, okay, yeah, I get it, but like, where did that come from? Like, it didn't fit kind of with the story narrative. It was more, and especially when like Peter, he's taking blow after blow after blow. Mostly that was taking me out of the story in this one, where it's just like, shouldn't you be better at this? It just seemed, JR referred to it back in like the first few issues as almost like torture porn, but it's just it seems like he's being like yeah, everyone just wants to see him be beat up. That like he really Spider-Man should be much better at this. Like, yeah, he's grabbing Kingpin up and holding him up in the air by the skin. That Spider-Man is not the Spider-Man we're seeing in these stories here. So like I get it, but it kind of came out of left field.
Yeah. Christina, what's your thoughts?
Well, granted, with him kicking the crap out of Kingpin, he was kind of vengeful after he had Aunt May shot. So that's a little motivation right there for him to be stronger. But I do agree with Brad that him trying to save Tombstone is something he would probably do. And so I do agree that. But I don't think it. Yeah, it kind of necessarily did come out of nowhere, but that does seem like something he would do.
Yeah.
So, and then with him taking the punches and stuff, but yeah, he probably could definitely be able to fight better though. But
in one aspect, in my opinion, that motivation for saving him from being a killer of his own daughter rings true for Spider-Man. It doesn't ring true that he's this bad of a fighter.
Yeah.
Right.
JR, did we even do pros and cons with you?
I don't have anything more to say, really.
Yeah.
So,
Josh, any more pros and cons for you?
Not really. Like, it seems like this is kind of over now. Like,
Yeah.
I
just like the story should have been 2 issues ago.
Yeah, but like at least this is kind of the final thing.
Christina, any other thoughts? I've got a couple before we wrap this up.
I do want to point out, though, we did see some of Spider-Man's strength when he broke Tombstone's hands.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to say.
So
I did like that also.
Yeah, I'll make an exception. See you try to punch now, and he just goes, okay.
You never could fight dirty. I'll make an exception. Crack.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah,
I that's definitely a pro for me. Does JR? Did you like it like we did?
Yeah, I liked it. He should have gone a little bit further though and broke a few more other things.
I mean, look how broken he is with that. Let's see you make a fist now. What does he do? Does he get his fingers back into socket? How do you fix that? Is that a healing factor? What? I don't know. Seems like he fixed his hands again.
I do like this thing here because this whole kind of series of panels here because it does make Spider-Man seem older. Like I don't see Tom Holland's Spider-Man pulling this move off.
I agree. Yeah, that showed a little bit more experienced fighter as opposed to the one that's just getting his butt whooped.
Yeah.
Where are you kicking him, Spider-Man? kick him right in the thunk, Oof. He's fighting dirty right there. Okay, let's see. Before we go to chat, I want to talk about what really, really took me out of it. Okay, so again, a 5-minute read, and then a 5-minute read for $5, and not much dialogue, and then a double-page spread for this, which is the logo and the creative team. And if memory serves, I thought there was a black page in between here and there on the printed copy when I read it. It's that ticked me off. That was like 3 pages in a row of pad that really upset me. I felt like my money was I was shorted on the money that I paid for this issue. When you double page spread this, you don't need that to be a double page. That says to me, hey, we ran out of story. We need to pad this out a little bit.
Yeah, I literally can't pad this anymore. Make the logo bigger, please.
I know. And then they put all the ads at the back, and then you have another full page of what's coming up next. I did that really that even took it down a grade for me. Yeah, I was going B because of the art, and you're ending on a nice note. Again, Spider-Man is kind of whooped, but I hated that. Absolutely.
I was going to say, and I didn't mean, I don't want to, I've had my say, but it's funny you mentioned that because I read this online, for example. Yeah. And when I read it went, well, I couldn't read it. There was nothing to read, but I said, boy, that didn't seem like 22 pages, did it? And then I went back and I tried to count them because
Yeah.
usually, even when you read it online, you can tell what the page breaks are.
Yeah.
And literally, at least for several of them, I couldn't tell where the page breaks are. And so, listening to you explain, what you saw when you had a physical copy.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, wow, that explains it.
I mean, they fade to black. They fade to black, and then they fade to a double page spread of the logo. And that's 3 pages wasted. And
Yeah.
I mean, it really, really, and that is the ending I'm remembering. I think the writer wants me to remember this, which is Spider-Man. They both pass out. The last image I have is, hey man, I felt gypped. I felt gypped that they have so much pad in this thing at the very, very end.
I got
All
to
right.
the end of it thinking, how are we not done that? Like I thought, wouldn't this be the last issue? Like, okay, this is kind of stops off, quick little after credits, like wrap up, and then that's it. When I got to the to be concluded part, it's like, there's still another issue. Like we're still.
And you know what? I don't mind the new thing that they've got in the back, the symbiote spiders and symbiotes. It's like the lowdown. Well,
Oh boy.
but
They have oh, go ahead.
but I don't mind this. This is classic Marvel. This is like, hey, this is what's coming up. Here's your checklist of what to buy. Here's a little interview with your creative team. I don't mind that. But alas. But okay, what Christina, what were you saying?
I was gonna say they're doing that in other comics besides Spider-Man too.
They
They're doing it in that like X-Men and stuff. So
Yeah. And they've got the panel of the day.
yeah.
But and then the little spider girl. So anyway, all right, chat, I'm coming to you. Let's see what you have to say. Let's see what your grades are. Can we imagine how much more evil Tombstone will be if he did kill Janice? I mean, that would up the game of just being an absolute monster.
Like Lizard, right?
Yeah. Oh, we've already seen that. The Lizard ate his kid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Will says these issues remind me of watching Dragon Ball Z. Okay. For Lowe to say this was the most brutal fights in Spider-Man history was absurd. Oh no, it was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
And that's like the Marvel way, even since Stan Lee, of like the most exhilarating issue you've ever experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Issue.
that's the salesman. If I had to sell these books online and in the letters pages of coming up next, that's something I'd say. I mean, I get it why you did that. What is the most brutal fight in Spider-Man history? What do you guys think? I think what JR said with the Goblin after he killed Gwen is up there.
Yeah.
Because that was personal.
Well, I don't know
always
if that
think
was a
personal.
brutal fight because he pretty well cleaned Norman's clock pretty easily. But I know what you're saying. Yeah.
What, Josh?
I think always the personal fights, not brutal in the like everyone's just beaten and bloody, but like on a personal level, I think those ones make for the best kind of brutal fights.
The one, the Revelations one with Ben Reilly, was with Norman again. One of the most brutal fights was the one where Felicia was shot in the Octopus Owl War, where he ripped the tentacles out of him, and that was brutal. I mean, that was absolutely brutal. Let's see. To me, says Parker, Matt Bird. To me, ever since OMD, Spider-Man is treated as a complete villain, which is sad, I know, but that's how Marvel seems to choose to see the character as Peter Parker, at least current Marvel editorial. Why is he a villain, Matt? I don't understand that. Brutal fight my ass. All right. This story should have been told in Gang War. Yeah, I'll give you that. Upon the horizon, there's a character arc for Lonnie throughout the run in all 3 Tombstone stories about whether Lonnie will prioritize his criminal lifestyle or his daughter. Here, I'm glad Lonnie stopped, but I think Janice will want revenge. Okay. Let's see. The grade for this book, A++ goes Mr. Comics. D, Mr. M. Franchise. C, Will. A, SoFlo. F, Tevia. Jeff says C-. Tevia says F, mostly because it makes no sense Spider-Man to lose the Tombstone of all criminals. It's just dumb for Spider-Man to save Tombstone. Upon the Horizon gives it a B. I thought it was a culmination of the clashing ideologies of Peter and Lonnie going back to the first arc. Gary and the Frozen, the art is an A. The story is a D-. That's fair. Lonnie makes fun of Spider-Man's philosophy in the first arc, but here, though he may not say it, he's grateful for Spidey stopping him. I don't know. Is he grateful? I think he just collapsed. Well, you know what? Him dropping the brick to murder Spider-Man. Was he grateful, or that
I
kind of
think
stopped?
I think he had a moment of reflection.
Yeah,
Hard
Yeah.
to say whether he's grateful, but I do think he reflected on the
It
situation.
was a moment of reflection and also exhaustion. I think it was a combo of the two.
Mhm.
Yeah. Tevye says the artwork's just bad. I don't know. I love John Romita Jr. stuff, and as far as visual storytelling, he told a story of where the fight started and where it ended. He may have not had much direction of where to go or more text to go, but John Romita knows how to visually tell.
I think Zeb probably has checked out, especially in this story arc and you can kind of see, especially if he was told like, yeah, you have free reign to draw this however you want. We're not really like, he's probably the storyteller here, not Zeb.
Let's see. What's up with my mic? Was my mic fading in and out? Does anybody notice that?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. I just unplugged it and plugged it back in. Maybe that will help. Wow, what a scam. Upon the horizon, there's no sin a man can commit in the process of feeding himself, was what Lonnie told Spider-Man in the first arc. Here that was put to the test. Marvel basically made this story a complete scam. I shouldn't be surprised at this point. What's the last time JR bought a physical issue? 950?
I answered him. I said, no, I keep up with the physical issues. I just don't pull them out of the box sometimes.
Let's see here. You guys talk amongst yourselves. My mic is weird for some reason.
I can hear you clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been fun on my end.
Yeah.
JR, when
Okay.
did your son
You guys hear me?
graduate?
Okay?
I'm sorry.
When does your son
Check one, two.
graduate? Is he
No.
still in university?
He
College?
left school. He,
He left. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. The reason I had my convocation this past week.
he would have. Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry.
That's all right. No, that's all right.
Okay, how about now? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
You can, but I can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
Classic. All right, let's see here. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. All right, cool. I can't hear you all. We're almost done with this. This was the, let's see. Oh, it sounds fine now. But earlier, yeah, I was cutting in and out. Okay, great. So anyway, let's go with final thoughts. Christina, final thoughts.
Despite it being bumpy and stuff, I am looking forward to seeing how this last issue goes. I think it's coming out this week. And see how he ends this. So
I don't think he can hear it.
uh-oh.
Well, I'll go ahead and say something. I'm limping to 1,000. That's my final thought.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Limping to 1,000. That's about, we'll see what happens after that.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know if it's just because there's so much.
I can hear you now. I left the studio. Now we're back.
Oh.
Okay.
There you go.
That's a great point, Christina. No idea what you said, but
No, I just said that
Yeah.
other than this bumpy road, we're trying to get to 60. I am looking forward to 60, which I think comes out this upcoming week. So
it does, yes.
okay. Yep.
And I will show you some previews of that in just a minute after we get Josh's final thought.
JR had kind of said we're kind of limping along to 1,000, and yeah, like I don't know if it's just there's a bunch of other stuff going on in my life lately, but yeah, like this story specifically, it was really kind of oh yeah, I got to read this comic to review it still. Like it hasn't been there, so the drive just hasn't been there. I'm excited to see what the new creative team might do with this, but
This feels
cautiously hopeful.
This feels very much what happened with the end of Spencer's run, Or hey, oh, we're coming up on a new relaunch. We got to find out. Let's spin our wheels. Let's do a Ben Riley Beyond story to spin our wheels.
Oh yeah.
And,
Mhm.
very much 2 years ago, and 2 or 3 years ago that this had something.
Mhm.
Anyway, JR, final thoughts?
I was saying, I had said earlier, I'm limping to 1,000. That's kind of my final thought. So, but it's interesting though you said that, Brad, because
Yeah.
it shouldn't be happening this often. Sometimes it does happen. It's just the way it is with publishing schedules and people's schedules. But the fact that it keeps happening and as often as it did, where they keep coming up with this situation where they have to pad it because there's definitely something very wrong in management.
Well, from what I think they talked to what's his name? He's writing Batman now. He did Spec. He's Zdarsky. Zdarsky, and someone asked him, I think online, "Hey man, you should write Amazing." He was like, "There's no way I want to write 2 issues a month." And someone also on Twitter asked J. Michael Straczynski, "Hey, you want to come back and write Amazing Spider-Man?" Again, his answer, "I don't want to write 2 issues a month." So you ride the horse till they die, is what it sounds like Marvel's trying to do to these writers. More is not always better.
I wonder if they've had people they've offered it to and they've just flat out turned it down. Like with how much heat there is with Spider-Man comics these days, is more like, I don't want that attention, man. Like having all that pressure on me.
Well, particularly with apparently what the big 2 are paying these days, and particularly with what the editorial interference must be on Spider-Man, I would say that a lot of writers who have other things to do and other ways of making money wouldn't want any part of it. They can write their own stuff with a lot less grief.
Why would Jonathan Hickman do a 12-issue Spider-Man book as opposed to the flagship? Probably because he has more control. And he isn't taxed as much in the fact that he has to write 24 issues a year instead of 12. This goes back to the old broadcast way of 22 episode season. If you watch the streamings, they're doing 10 to 12 or 8 episodes, mainly due to cost, etc. And I think the writing's a bit tighter when you have 8 to 10 episodes as opposed to Smallville that had 22 episodes a season, and then you got some really crap episodes where you have to pad them out. So, all right, before we go, I want to get your thoughts on this. I haven't had a chance to put it up on the Crawlspace yet. I got it from Marvel. Here is a preview of Zeb Wells' last book. Zeb says goodbye with Ed McGuinness, Patrick Gleason, Todd Knock, Paulo Rivera, Joe Kelly, Mark Buckingham. Joe Kelly, Mark Buckingham give a peek at what's next. $8 for this book. $8. Zeb Wells and John Romita. So you've got the main story by John Romita Jr. and Zeb Wells, and then you have backups to justify the additional $3. Beautiful looking cover, by the way. I love the cover.
One time a backup has been worth it.
I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Here. Oh, look, the letter the wrap up is just 1 page. That's nice. Okay, so it looks like Tombstone and She-Hulk and Peter Parker are all in the courtroom, and the judge is not having it. He is saying the unsanctioned attack of Lonnie Lincoln by Spider-Man has irreparably tainted the case. And with the disappearance of the prosecution's witness, I have no choice but to dismiss the case. What? So evidently, Janice is on the run and did not come back and testify against her father. And the judge says Spider-Man has interfered with it, etc. So there goes Lonnie. Oh, never mind. What?
Oh,
Do we do it again? What?
Oh.
No.
Come on.
We did this again? Okay, that sucks.
Oh.
We have this again. We have this story, 3 pages of credits. Do we need that for $8?
No.
Doctor's Orders, main story. Team Up Part 2 by Zeb Wells, Todd Knock. Bubs by Zeb Wells, Pablo. Mirrors, Patrick Gleason. Oh my gosh. And then Joe Kelly, Mark Buckingham. This looks like the Todd Knock art. And Giggly Gobgarn, right? That's Rec Rap, right? Back in it. No, I'm sorry, Ed McGuinness art. That's Rec Rap. That's got to be Rec Rap in the hospital.
Definitely has to
Uh-oh.
be.
That's got to be Rec Rap. Then I'm sorry. This is Todd Knock with a jackpot
Whoa.
story.
Mm.
I don't know. A lot of times when writers are on their way out, they reset everything. Do you think this is the end of Jackpot?
Please.
Who
I
knows?
will give the book a triple plus if that happens.
Do you think Paul last passed this book?
Who
I do.
knows?
I do.
Who knows?
And then you got a Wolverine Spider-Man story. Then you got Zeb Wells, Patrick Gleason. That's good art. And you got Spider-Man fighting Bushwhacker over here on a backup story. All right, thoughts on this one, gang? Oh, George. What? I'm not putting that on the screen, George. 3 credits pages. Yes, Mary. That's incredible.
I'm lucky. I don't have to pay full price.
Well, I don't either. I get them shipped. I get 38% off from Discount Comic Book Service. But yeah, that's man. I'm not putting. And then George is just cackling at the $8. Wah! You know they wanted to charge 10 for it. They should have done 5 pages of a credits page.
You know, and see, that's the kind of thing that just makes us, or makes the fan base matter. I mean, they don't help themselves. They do nothing to say. I mean, I can't explain this behavior. It's almost like you're expecting the music to stop, and you're just trying to suck it dry for us all until it does. But these practices are inexcusable. It's no wonder that, you know, the fan base is enraged. It's indefensible, but yet they seem to keep trying to either defend it or be in denial about it.
Kelly says, "I'll come back to ASM reviews if Jackpot is over." What do we think, gang? Is Jackpot over? I think they spent a little bit too much time on the IP to make her a superhero for it to be over.
Maybe in 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, like I said before, maybe that's the last time we'll see her as Jackpot.
Yeah, or like she. It might be kind of the same way they had the other universe with where she was also a spider person, or it's like Jackpot will show up for a Spider-Verse event or something.
Yeah, they give her the suit or something. Maybe the batteries die on that little wrist bracelet or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, if you see any merchandise, Jackpot merchandise, you know she's here to stay, though.
Oh,
Just like Spider-Gwen. You see any? So if you see any Jackpot merchandise,
she's got to be a Marvel legend. I think she's in Fortnite, isn't she? And she a skin? Isn't Jackpot a skin? I could be wrong. Is Paul? MJ. Is this the end of Paul? Is issue 60 the end of Paul? Does anybody believe that?
No.
Yeah.
We'd like it to be, but no.
Yeah. All right. We have another show coming up on Patreon. I hope you guys can join us. This is what we're going to review. We've got 2 issues of Ultimate Spider-Man, the Superior Spider-Man book. Oh, that brings back bad memories. Never mind. Ultimate Spider-Man 9 and 10. We got Ben Reilly with some Eternals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with Chasm, Curse of Cain. We got Miles Morales' 25th issue. We've got Spectacular Spider-Men with Spidey and Miles Morales teaming up. Greg Weisman writing. Oh, you don't want to miss Kelly's thoughts. There's a new Spider-Girl in Spider-Boy.
Yeah.
Will she love it? Will she hate it? Will she burn it with fire? You don't want to miss Kelly's thoughts on that. We've got Spider-Gwen teaming up with
Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones. We've also got the 3rd issue of Spider Society. We've got Neil talking about kaiju monsters fighting the Avengers with Ultraman. And JR's personal favorite, Spider-Man 2 Rain Electric Boogaloo.
Oh, man.
So you got that coming up. And wait, Patreon members, there's more. Poor Tyler. We have a Venom War going on. So we've got issue 3 of Venom War and all the side books. We've got Venom War Carnage, Venom War Daredevil, Venom War Deadpool, Venom War Lethal Protectors, Venom War Spider-Man, Venom War Venomous with Black Widow, and Venom War Zombiotes with Hellcat and She-Hulk, etc. We will review all that for the Patreon members. If you would like to sign up at patreon.com/crawlspace. We're going to be streaming exclusively there live with some new castmates. And well, all three of us, but JR is coming up on next. So check that out. You can support the site. You can also hear me and the friends, our spider friends, talk about all this. So my friends, thank you for watching, and we will do it next Saturday. We have a Venom 3 movie review.
Yes.
JR has never mind. A lot of us have thoughts on the Venom movie. I just saw it today. Christina, you saw it. Have you seen it yet, Josh?
I'm seeing it tomorrow.
Okay.
Spencer gave it a 7 out of 10. And to be honest, he didn't like the first two, so I think he's running against the hill on that one, or running against the on that one.
Have you guys been active in the Discord? Did you see George saw it?
George liked it. I cannot believe it.
And it made him change his opinion on Venom and symbiotes.
Well, you don't want to miss that. We're gonna have thoughts on that next Saturday when we all review Venom 3 Electric Boogaloo or whatever it is. All right, everybody, thanks for watching, and we will be back in just a few minutes down on our Patreon page. Peace out, everybody.